Howdy again everyone. I always like it when a new lens from the Viltrox company lands in my test lab for evaluation. They seem to always offer something a bit different, as well as generally good quality and a low price tag. And as a fan of ultra wide angle lenses with bright apertures, you can imagine my excitement at getting to test out their new autofocus 16mm f1.8 lens for Sony's E-mount mirrorless full frame cameras. Yes, this is a full frame lens and one of the widest f1.8 full frame lenses available today, making it especially useful for architecture, event and particularly astrophotography. Oh, and it has a filter thread for front filters also. As you can see, with a full frame Sony camera in hand, you could be getting some truly awesome images with this particular lens. Does that all sound pretty exciting to you? Well, what about a recommended retail price of only $550 US? That makes this lens potentially amazing value for money, if the quality is there, that is. Anyway, I'd like to thank Viltrox for sending me a copy of this lens for evaluation, although as usual, this is a totally independent review. When it comes to build quality, one of the first things you notice is that Viltrox have done a Nikon here and blessed us with a light-up information screen for showing your focus position and depth of field information and aperture as well. This kind of thing is a bit of a gimmick, to be honest, but actually when out shooting the stars in the dark, I did find it kind of useful to help me know where my focus area was. Anyway, putting that to one side, the lens is metallic, tough and a little weighty. It's built on a metal lens mount which has a weather sealing gasket as well as a USB-C port for future lens firmware updates. Nice. Then comes the lens's aperture ring, which can be set to turn smoothly or to click at every third of an f-stop, which is something I always like to see. On the side we get an auto manual focus switch as well as customizable function buttons. Then comes the metallic focus ring, which turns extremely smoothly and works nice and responsively with the lens's focus motor. The good news is that the lens displays very little focus breathing, not zooming in or out as you change focus. The not so good news is that the lens's autofocus motor is quite slow, as you can see here. However, that's not really a major issue on an ultra-wide lens in real life shooting, and at least it works silently and accurately. The lens comes with a plastic hood and its front filter size is 77mm. You'll want to use quite a thin filter for the front though to avoid extra vignetting. I found that my Marumi Fit and Slim filter worked fine. The lens does not have image stabilization. Overall, the lens's build quality is fabulous here, especially considering its rather affordable price. Action shooters might be occasionally frustrated by the slow autofocus though. Alright, let's look at image quality. I'll be testing it today on a Sony a7R III camera with its full frame 42 megapixel sensor. In-camera corrections are turned on. At f1.8, in the middle of the image, we see razor sharpness and excellent contrast. Nice. Let's take a look in the corners. Wow, they are noticeably softer but still looking pretty great. What a pleasant surprise at f1.8. Stop down to f2.8 to see noticeably more brightness and sharpness in the corners, and at f4 those corners are now razor sharp with no discernible colour fringing. Awesome. If you stop down as far as f11 or particularly f16, the image will soften due to the effect of diffraction. Still, this is an excellent performance for a full-frame lens with such parameters at such an affordable price point. Well done, Viltrox. Okay, let's turn off in-camera corrections and see about the lens's distortion and vignetting. Good news on the distortion front, there's virtually none of it, which is another little bonus, although at f1.8, those corners are certainly looking pretty dark. Stop down to f2.8 and they brighten, but actually that's about as bright as they get, so you'll definitely want to at least correct for corner shading. Let's see about close-up image quality now. The lens can only focus as closely as about 27 centimeters to your subject, so you won't be getting too close to smaller subjects here. But the good news is that, even at f1.8, sharpness remains excellent close-up. Now, let's see how the lens works against bright lights. We see a slight loss in contrast, some flaring when bright lights are directly in the picture, and a little glaring when they're outside of the picture. On an ultra-wide angle lens, this is a bit of a weakness really. Be sure to use the lens's hood, which will help you just a little. While we're working in the dark, let's take a look at chroma levels. On bright points of light in the image corners, there's just a little chroma smudging, but thankfully it's nothing too serious. Stop down to f2.8 and it's virtually gone. Let's zoom out and look for sun stars now. It's only at about f11 or f16 that very slight sun stars appear on the brightest points of light, so nothing to write home about here. In case you're wondering, here's the night sky picture I showed you a little earlier. At f1.8 in the corners, we see good clarity and sharpness overall, but the very brightest stars do see some colourful smearing here. Okay, let's take a look at the lens's bokeh. It's not easy to get out of focus backgrounds with this lens due to its ultra-wide angle and unimpressive minimum focus distance. When you do get them though, the lens's bokeh is generally quite smooth, although specular highlights can suffer from a little outlining and just a little bit of an onion ring substructure. And finally, related to bokeh comes longitudinal chromatic aberration. At f1.8 it's there, but it's not very strong. At f2.8 it's actually about the same, but at f4 it's finally gone. So overall, the Viltrox 16mm f1.8 lens presents loads to be excited about. Great build and image quality, a really bright aperture for astro work and event photography, and all at a very affordable price. What a treat for ultra-wide angle enthusiasts with full-frame cameras. You see, this is why Canon should open up their mirrorless camera system to third-party manufacturers, in my opinion. Lenses like this are worth buying into the Sony system for, and I'm tempted to buy one of these lenses myself. It's fantastic value for money, useful and fun, so it comes highly recommended. I love testing out lenses like this, and I want to say a big thank you to my Patreon supporters who enable me to keep doing it. If you want to support me in standing around outside in a freezing cold dead of night testing lenses astrophotography capabilities, then check out my Patreon page in the description below, where supporters get all kinds of exclusive bonus content, which I really enjoy putting together. Ciao for now, everyone.